Hello and welcome to CEO Insights, the program that interviews chief executives and other top management of companies here in Vietnam. I'm your host and my name is Leon Shears. Today I'm really happy to be able to welcome Mr. Ian Lydall, who used to be, until last summer, the chairman and managing partner of PwC, probably the largest and certainly the most famous of the big four accounting firms. But last summer, Ian took a new turn and is now an independent consultant and advising director. Welcome, Ian.
Thank you very much, Leon.
Good to see you. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
I go with my normal first question, which is, why Vietnam?
Around, I guess, the late 1970s, I was ready for a move out of the UK. So I'd started my career with PwC in the Middle East, gone to Southern Africa from there, and then back to the UK for about 15 years or so. I was ready for another move, and Asia was the thing at the time. Part of the world that I hadn't spent a great deal of time in, and was really keen to come and experience, particularly Southeast Asia. So, over the next probably 3 or 4 years, I was, looking out for good opportunities, and the best one that came up was Vietnam. So, yeah.
So you chose Vietnam rather than Vietnam, or PwC in Vietnam choosing you?
Correct. Yes.
Right. And a good idea?
It's turned out to be a tremendous idea. I was a little fortunate in that the year before, by complete chance, we'd had a family holiday in Thailand and in Hanoi. So at least, experienced a little bit of Vietnam. So that was, gave an appetite, if you like. So when this particular position came up, which was head of Indochina for PwC, so included Cambodia and Laos as well, I jumped at it. And it's been a great journey since.
Right. And the development of PwC, how big was it when it first started?
Well, PwC set up here through a rep office in 1994. Right. So just been through the 20th anniversary. And at the time I came in, it was probably around 200 people. And now would be more than 4 times that size.
Wow, that's some growth.
Yeah. PwC is a fantastic organisation. It operates in all the countries that we could possibly think of, and is in a leading position or number 2 position in virtually all the countries in which it operates. A great organisation. The support that was given to us here in Vietnam was fantastic from the leaders, and it allowed us to try things, to run the business in a way that it would grow as quickly as made sense. I
mean, it's a sort of a truism that every country is different, but Vietnam really is different. And if you've got a worldwide standing operating procedure,
yes,
has that presented a problem?
Not problems, but it sets you out along with the HSBCs and the Unilevers of this world. Sets you out different to some other organisations. So in terms of corporate governance, explaining to the Vietnamese community and the Vietnamese authorities how we used to operating and why we will continue to operate that way, if for no other reason, for legal reasons these days, of course, driven from the US and Europe and the UK and other places. So it's important that everyone understands what we can do and what we can't do. But once you get that, I think you get respect for standing up for what you believe in and the way that you want to operate. And that means that you may miss out on some opportunities, but other things come your way which are there because people want to come to you because they think they will get a robust opinion from you, that you will do a professional job, and that's exactly what they want.
Is it been a benefit to you as a company, or in your past company, that there are more and more treaties being signed, which means that Vietnam has to move in certain areas and has to be more awake to the international situation? Has that been good news?
It certainly has. The big one was WTO, of course. So the anticipation of that, you could see certainly from 2005 onwards, huge increase in activity. Foreign companies just wanting to be here or feeling they had to be here. It wasn't a question, they might not want to hear this, but it wasn't a question of tremendous due diligence being done on the Vietnamese companies that they're investing in. It was, we have to be in Vietnam, we have to be have a presence there now, otherwise we'll miss out because everyone else is doing it. So here we go. And that has worked out very well for some companies and not so well for others, some who basically paid far too much for their shareholding at the time.
But that's the world over, that's not just Vietnam.
It certainly is in emerging markets, yes. I'm sure many foreign companies investing in China have lost even more money.
Right, and so you've moved from this pinnacle as I say, managing partner of an incredibly significant company in the life and growth of Vietnam. And you had an opportunity, obviously, to retire wherever you wanted to go, but you decided to stay in Vietnam. One, why? Two, good idea.
Okay, obviously this is all very recent to me. So I'd been with PwC, wherever in the world since 1981.
Right.
So it was a huge thing when this date was looming, 30th of June 2015. Simply based on, yes, I will never forget that day. Based on the partnership agreement, which says at the age of 60 you retire. And that's fine. You need new blood coming into a partnership, so that's all well and good. Sure, I was apprehensive, thinking, but the only idea, the only thing I wanted to pursue was staying in Vietnam and trying to do some things on my own. That is a huge difference from where I was before, but I couldn't conceive of just packing my bags and leaving Vietnam at that time. Through 15 years, you build up quite a lot of experience of how things work here. Being in a service company, I've spent a lot of time helping clients through certain issues related to Vietnam and how they can grow and be more profitable here. So I thought that experience was the main thing that I had that I could use in the future.
Just one quick question about PwC. Is their client base largely international, or is it 50-50, or is there a high number of Vietnamese clients in PwC?
It varies from one line of service to another, but overall there are more foreign clients than there are local. Within the advisory practice, the mix is probably closer to 50-50, I would think. Yeah, but the tax practice, for example, is largely foreign.
Right. I was tempted to say something there, but I wasn't. Right. And in your new business, how is the client shape building there?
Okay, so I've got three roles that I've taken up. Two as independent director. So one is as chairman of the AAA Assurance, so that's a non-life insurance company operating here in Vietnam, which is majority owned by IAG, which is the biggest Australian non-life insurer. So in terms of governance, again, it's really important to me if I'm going to sit on the board, and certainly the chairman, that I know that it's a company that does things the right way. It's always helpful that meetings are in English and that you know what's going on, basically. So I enjoy that. And that's a company which has had a bit of history, but it now is growing and growing well and taking on some really good business. So it's fun to be a part of that. I am also a director, independent director of a Playder Bank in Phnom Penh, which is, again, very different in many ways, and it operates in Myanmar and Laos as well, but a very successful bank in every possible way. So in terms of what it delivers to the community through its services, it's a very profitable bank, but its governance is really, really good, very strong, because of the foreign shareholders that have helped it along right from day one.
Right. So do you...
Sorry, and it's the third one, which is TalentNet. My role is very different there. So I'm an advisor to TalentNet and basically do what they want me to do. So it's a business that was hived out of PwC back in 2007 because there were too many conflicts of interest, and it was clear that it was a good business, but it would grow much faster on its own away from PwC. So Trin, who is still the owner, took that business and has grown it from 12 people to over 200 people in the meantime. A fantastic story, and the opportunity was there for me to try and help them get to the next level, which is corporatise more policies and procedures and take on the new challenges. So at the moment it's a Vietnamese business which is very strong in the local market, but with all the increased labour mobility that's expected with all the ASEAN developments, it's a business that is going to strengthen its links outside Vietnam as well.
Right. Do you see your future role as trying to take corporate governance to more and more Vietnamese companies?
Yes. Certainly within PwC, we've done quite a lot of that. It is frustrating.
Good heavens.
Because it's a question of understanding, I think, as much as anything. People in one country have their ways of doing things. In another country it will be different. And a lot of this is built into the culture. It's what people are used to. It's what people believe is right. So to get from, say, the way that a business might operate in Vietnam to the way it might operate in the US or the UK is a huge change. And along the way, people will, in Vietnam, for example, might point a finger and say, well, look at this that happened in the US, and look at it. Why are you coming here and telling us this is how we should be doing things? So it's a discussion. It should be an open discussion to start with. And only when people get into the same playing field can you actually make progress. So it's a long haul, obviously worth it. It's a path that we should be trying to encourage all the Vietnamese businesses to follow. But it is frustrating because along the way you see that you assumed that what you understood by this concept was what the others understood, and you realise that it isn't, and you've got to take a step back. Communication
is always the problem.
Yeah.
People saying one thing and somebody else hearing something slightly different.
Yes.
Do you think the question of disclosure, and I'm not talking specifically about corporate governance, but just being prepared to share information about their business so you can actually help them, is that presenting a problem?
If more businesses disclosed real information about what they were doing, it would be fantastic. As you mentioned earlier, that's not restricted to, confined to Vietnamese businesses by any.
No.
But I've seen many cases where through financial statements, good disclosure has been included, that people, investors, other readers of financial statements really get to understand more about the business. They appreciate that, and it allows them to ask the next tier question.
Because you can only go forward on the basis of knowledge, and if you don't have the knowledge, it's difficult to advise.
Exactly. So Disclosure in financial statements, websites, really important. If so, a Clada Bank, for example, has what I think is a fantastic website. They disclose a lot of information through that, and I'm sure that is really helpful to investors, prospective investors, and others.
Any idea why this fear of disclosure has built up over the years? On the basis that we might be able to find something to help ease it.
Yeah, I guess it's, if we tell you just what we have to tell you and what you need to know, rather than what you would like to know, we're safe.
Yeah,
that's probably where it starts from.
right.
But I think in this day and age, it isn't like that. It is, if your company is going to be seen as a good company, you have to give information, you have to explain what you're doing, why you're doing it, admit that there's a failure here and there along the way, but we reacted quickly, this is what we did about it. This sort of information, certainly for listed companies, can help them. Yeah. And if it's released quickly and not overstating the positive messages, but making it real, I think that's extremely helpful to the way companies.
Yes, because it's certainly in Europe there's a push for more European companies to be more open than they are at the moment. So that will hopefully trickle down.
Yes.
What do you think that the government can do to aid that and perhaps speed things up? Because soon they're going to have to be in quite a hurry with TPP and all the other various treaties that are being signed. Yeah.
Yes, that's true. It's always easy to point a finger at governments and say they should have done this. But they do have a really strong influence in any country, and certainly in Vietnam. Not only through legislation, regulation, but also because of the state-owned enterprises, the way the government can influence what they do, of course. To me, further legislation could be helpful in certain areas, but to me it's more about the supervisory bodies, it's about the regulators.
Right.
It's fine to have a law, it's fine to have regulations, but if the regulators don't enforce them in a tough manner at times, then the players in that industry are not going to take any notice.
No. One of the things I love about Saigon is the traffic.
Okay.
Because I think it's a sort of a descriptive of Vietnam. Mm-hmm. You get there in the end, but sometimes the route is different than you planned.
Okay.
And I think that applies to business as well. But that's an aside, really and truly.
As long as you don't have an accident.
Yes. Well, nobody does, do they? They just drive on, yes. Hope nobody notices. With the election coming up, do you think that could have a profound influence on what's going to happen? Or do you think it'll be more of a status quo?
I don't know the answer to that, but from what I've seen previously, the run-up to an election, government tends to stall. People are not prepared to sign off on projects, to make big decisions beforehand. Haven't really seen any of that so far, but I guess that could happen, as it has before. Post the election, well, let's see who's got the positions, yes, and how many positions there are. I think that will have a profound influence on the future direction. So there are things which some of us would like to see move faster. For example, the reform of the state-owned enterprises, and whoever is in charge would need a huge body of support behind them to be able to do that effectively. So strong government is, as long as it's moving the country in the right direction, would surely be a good thing.
Sort of strong and open government rather than strong and closed.
Yes, but the openness of government in any country has taken centuries to work through. It will take a while to work through in Vietnam as well.
Moving back to your company, can you ever see yourself taking over a few floors in the Texco Tower?
That's, who knows what happens in the future, but that's pretty unlikely. I have a staff of none, 0 at the moment, and that's very different, of course, from where I was before, where I had many people who were very willing to help me and very good at doing so. So now I'm more on my own. All the logistics I organise for myself and everything else, and that's taken some getting used to. Yeah.
So you can work a photocopier now?
I can. Yes, it's very different, but at the end of the day, you know, that's my choice, and I guess for the first couple of months it takes some getting used to, but then it's okay.
Yeah, that's good. And where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
I would hope doing similar things. The appointments are for different lengths of time, and some could come and go for different reasons. So I'm always open to new opportunities that, if they're out there, that people might want to bring to me. So, yeah, operating in a similar way. I don't particularly want to be working 6-7 days a week, as I have done for some years in the past, but you know, for a limited period of time you can do that as extra things come in. But I just want to make sure that I can make use of my experience that I've built up over 15 years here, and of course the years before in the UK in particular, and contribute something back.
Right. It's a good country to contribute to.
It is.
Yeah. I think there's actually major dividends coming out of people like yourself who've been at the top and now at the top in a slightly different way, but to be able to feed back into the community, very important.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much indeed for your time. If there's anything particular you want to say or comment on, now is your chance. But if not, I will wrap up.
No, thank you very much, Leon. I've enjoyed it. Life is very different for me at the moment, but I'm really enjoying it. So I love being here in Vietnam.
That's good to hear. Thank you, Ian. And thank you for watching this episode of CEO Insights, where we had Ian Lydall give us his thoughts on Vietnam, PwC, and the future. And I thank you for watching. This is Leon Shear saying good night. Thank you.